Now that light is going to take us into the night and show the face of night, show the reality of night, the truth of night, the purpose, the function, the role the night has in the scheme of things. So that supreme light is really going to take us into the night and then show the depths of night in its glory and its possibilities, you see, something. But before we go to that canto, next canto, canto 7 of the book, we will run through again what we did last time, a few sentences, and some of them we had left hanging also. So we'll try to pick them up again, you see. A sun of transfiguration still can shine, in spite of all those problems and all those difficulties and all those obstacles. The sun of transfiguration still can shine. The emphasis is not the sun of light, but the sun of transfiguration. Transfiguration is a key word there. Transfiguration. In other words, all which is so dark, ugly, evil, false, that has had to undergo a change, a transformation, and see its divine counterparts and express themselves into those divinities, those aspects of the spirit. And night can bear its core of mystic light. Now we never know that there is something behind the night which is bright, which is mystic, which is luminous light. There is a light. In fact, because there is light behind, there can be night. Without that light, without that presence, without that Godhoodness there, it also cannot come into existence. Actually, as we have been saying in a metaphysical terms, when the Supreme plunged himself into the void, all became completely dark because he has lost complete contact with that thing. It became completely dark. Now, behind that dark, what is there? Behind that void, who is there? Behind that void, behind that dark, who is there? The Supreme Himself. The Supreme Himself is there behind the dark. In fact, that is the most beautiful thing which we have in Savitri. Savitri is going to the Supreme not by ascending through various grades of consciousness, but by penetrating through the void straight into the Supreme. As a kind of a backdoor entry straight to the Supreme. The most difficult kind of a thing which she has done. She has cut the door into the void and then she saw the Supreme Himself there, transformed death there. That after all, who is there after all? Who is this death after all? It is Supreme Himself who had taken that mask, who had put on that face, who is having a grey mask, a grey mask around him, and it is the Supreme who is doing all that kind of a thing. For what purpose? That is another matter. But now, here, because that possibility is there, a sun of transfiguration still can shine because it is there, and night can bear its core of mystic light. The self-cancelling, self-afflicting paradox, self-cancelling, it looks a paradox to us. How it has happened at all that the Supreme Light can give rise to night? That is a paradox to us. But behind that paradox, there is a kind of a logic, there is a kind of a sequence, there is a kind of an occult mechanism by which these things have happened. The self-cancelling, self-afflicted paradox into a self-luminous mystery might change. Might change, he says, might. Well, that might also mean that it has to change. It must change. The whole thrust, the whole argument, the whole emphasis, the entire raison d'etre of Savitri, the epic, is that it must change. It must change. That might is that Savitri's raison d'etre of Savitri is there and it must change. Into a self-luminous mystery might change the imbroglio into a joyful miracle. Now, why this path, etc., etc., it is another story. But the confusion, the entanglement which is there now, it has to get dissolved. It has to get resolved completely. See. It must change. It has to happen. That is why the entire undertaking has been taken up. You see. Why it is there? The self-cancelling, self-affecting paradigm into a self-luminous mystery might change the imbroglio into a joyful miracle. Joyful. There is the happiness, God's own happiness, that is there here. Now this pain and suffering and evil and falsehood and all that thing, it has to change. It is not there forever to be there. It has got to be changed. It has lost certain kind of a relationship with the Supreme Truth. That relationship has to be re-established and it has to undergo a change. But now, but in the meanwhile, what happens? Yes, it might change, it will happen, the transformation may take place, but in the meanwhile, what happens? But now, a termless labor is her fate. Her stands for life. Life has plunged into matter. She has to undergo trouble. She has to suffer. She has to bear the consequences of her entry into matter, into the physical domain. Labor, her fate, in its recurrent decimal of event, birth, death appear as this vibrating point. We have seen last time the vibrating points, the relationship of that thing. Birth, death appear as this vibrating point. The old question mark, margin, age, finished page. Yes, you have written the entire epic, but then at every page you got a question, will it change, will it happen, will it undergo this transformation? That question mark is kind of repeated at every point, recurrent, you see. Each volume of refers history. Now, each volume of a refers history. Now we can imagine the kind of work this life has done. Volumes and volumes can be written about the work she has done in matter. Volumes and volumes of work she has been doing, but still there is no. Each volume of her efforts history in the archives of the occult, the entire effort of life is kind of stored. How she has undergone through the entire process, how she has developed all these things. Really is a miracle, absolute miracle. When there was no life at all, no life at all. Even to bring out a small ant is a tremendous miracle. To us, it looks a very small matter. After all, it's a small little creature, ant. But imagine that out of nothing, you can't produce an ant on the moon, on the sun, anywhere. But she has managed to bring out that kind of a little creature in this world here. Efforts history. Now the entire history, she has produced big whales, she has produced dinosaurs, she has produced big crocodiles, and whatnot, you see. Elephants, man also now, even perhaps higher creature. Now this entire history of life, I don't know how many volumes it will occupy in the archives of the occult. In the archives of the occult, how many volumes it will occupy. Shivandu has written so much, 35 volumes in the collected works of Shivandu's works, you see, 35 volumes, you see. Mothers, they are also running into 30 volumes like that, you see. But surely the work of life is much, much larger than that. How many archives are there? How many records are there? Of that we have absolutely no idea. No idea. But perhaps by identifying ourselves with the process of evolution, how the evolution has taken place at that stage, one might be able to decipher all the sequences. The mother says, we have no idea of it because there was nobody at that time to write it down. So to say, there was nobody there at that time to write it down. But then, perhaps if you go back into history and identify yourself with life and then connect all the sequences of evolution of life into matter, you may be able to trace all those events again. Recall. Now, whether it is worthwhile doing or not is a different matter. It is another matter. Whether I should really identify myself and understand how life has produced those things, whether I should do that now is a different matter. But that is a possibility. That is a possibility. It can be done, you see. Perhaps it may not be very necessary because life has been experimenting, trying every kind of. See, even to bring about a small little creature and imagine the kind of engineering which is there behind the human being. Every aspect is so well detailed out and executed such a kind of perfection that, well, here is man and here are the possibilities of man and he can make progress. It's a miracle how she has managed all that thing. The physiological miracle is absolutely astounding, very astounding, you see. Each volume, now you say each volume, we don't know how many volumes are there, you see. Nobody asked Shebendu, please tell me how many volumes. But I think he was clever enough not to publish this Savitri so early for people to raise those questions, you see. Accompanied, most of these things have started coming after 1942, you see, in writing. Of course, publication came much later. The first time it published was, this started publishing Savitri was in 1946 in the periodicals, you see. Accompanied by an eternal, a limping, yes, through the eons, journey still because it's a long effort of history. It's a long effort of history. Therefore, it is journeying still, it is moving on. A limping here. Yes, there will be God. Yes, there will be divine here. Yes, there will be the possibility of spirit expressing here. That yes is always there. But it is limping. It is not able to walk swiftly, possibly on that thing. A limping, yes, through the eons, because of the long history, eons, journey is still accompanied by an eternal no. There is a positivism, there is an affirmation of the divine here, but that is constantly opposed by the denial. How can it be? You have so much of ignorance here, you have got death here, you have got suffering here, you have got falsehood here. How can that be here? So that eternal no is there. Sorry, you are mad. You cannot imagine that thing can change here, you see. It is eternal no that thing. Therefore, what you say eternal no, you reject this life and go away and live in the heaven of the gods or somewhere else like that, you see. Now, a living is through the aeon journey still, accompanied by an eternal no. You have got in the Life Divine those two famous chapters, the denial of the ascetic, the refusal of the ascetic and the denial of the materialist, you see. Those two chapters are there. Materialist says, forget all that thing, it is all insubstantial, imagination, you cannot think of. Matter is the physical thing, it is the concrete thing, it is the base of thing, you see. And it denies anything which is non-material, the materialist. Whereas the religious man, the ascetic is, this is all mithya, this is all illusion, this is all drama, this is dream and all that thing, hallucination. Let us get out of it and go and elsewhere. So this yes and no is constantly kind of in conflict there, you see. And there is no reconciliation between the materialist and the ascetic, you see. There is a constant conflict. It is kind of a strong dichotomy which is present in the mind of man. And that dichotomy has really come because of the mind. Because of the mind, you see. That division of this and that has come because of the mind's construction, you see. Otherwise, there is no real division between the two, you see. If you see in the integrality of existence, there is no division at all. Now, this eternal no and limping yes. Let us go back to what we have in Book 3, Canto 2.